I do think there's utility to gain from not ignoring it, not ceding all of that drama, all those views, all that attention completely to the right.
Why the fuck are any of us doing any of this? Hey,
What an
what's
unbelievable coincidence. As I was just playing Life is Strange 2 and happened to run into literally you. Look at Twitter right now. I found you in a video game. It's crazy.
I know this character. The literally Vaush, that everything is political. I love it. It really does
Yeah,
look exactly like me.
he this get and I asked my chat. I was like, when did this come out? When was this? Came out in 2017.
Yeah, they
You
predicted
got
it. It's like The
They
Simpsons.
created you. Well, it's more like it's like a tulpa. The game materialized you into existence.
Yeah, kind of
So I
like
thought it was
an inverse. What do they call it? Voodoo doll, a little bit. You know, you craft that, and reality molds itself around the concept. Um, so yeah, hopefully I'm not spiritually tied to it or anything. I feel like that could be a bit of an issue.
don't think
S-
the character dies, so I think you're good.
Ah,
I think you're good
spoilers.
there.
All right,
Um,
what's on your mind? Red
all
pill
right,
me.
so earlier today, I did a bit of a segment on the whole Chris Chan situation, what happened with her, and just catching some people up on the history of that. Because prior to yesterday, I knew next to nothing besides what ContraPoints talked about in her video, and frankly, I find it the overall culture and stalking and all of that shit behind Chris Chan to be deplorable. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is, I went ahead and I watched the segment that you had uploaded to your second channel, and there were some things that I feel like I take issue with, and if I were to say this to you, you'd probably agree.
All right, hit me up.
So yeah. All right. So you and I do this as well, and I think this is the correct thing to do. Talk about how leftist figures online, or just generally progressive figures, need to talk more about really popular culture war things like that to bring people in, especially to sort of deprive the right of having a complete monopoly on discussing certain topics. And I think with this whole Chris Chan thing, we're getting a lot of new people who are getting into that, who are talking about it, who are watching videos about it. And every single video I've been watching on this topic that I did whenever I researched this prior to today's stream, they were misgendering her. They were talking about how she's this delusional, furry, autistic, mentally ill, horrible person. And I think it's very likely that in the coming weeks and most certainly months, we're going to see Blair White, Ben Shapiro, every right wing or transphobic demagogue using this as the next crux of their transphobic arguments, just like Jessica Yaniv, but probably even more extreme. And I don't know if it's a good idea to throw that topic out entirely without perhaps taking one opportunity to throw in a left-wing perspective on this whole situation to get out ahead of the conservatives that are going to absolutely use this to radicalize normies against trans people.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that in concept, and I think ordinarily I'd agree with you off the bat. The problem that I have is that it seems like there's almost nothing for us to say, right? Every time I hear anything about like what is the lefty perspective on this? Like, oh yeah, they are a crazy delusional piece of shit, but respect their pronouns and like that's
Mm-hmm.
it. Like I don't know, like I guess that's a valuable insight, but it kind of seems like if that's all we have to add, that we either don't have anything to add at all, or it comes off like a kind of backhanded defense, which is what it comes off to a lot of people online. When you're like, oh, hey, just because Jessica Yaniv is a terrible person doesn't mean you shouldn't respect her pronouns, blah, blah. People interpret that as a defense of Jessica Yaniv. Like you're like they're not capable of understanding like acceptable lines to cross, which that's because a lot of them aren't. So like what would we even say with Christian? Like,
Yeah.
she's really bad, but like not all trans people are that bad. I don't know. It just seems really asinine.
So the problem that I had is when I watched your segment, it felt like up until a certain point, like it came off vaguely, like someone who was dishonest could try to twist it this way. Like you don't want to talk about it because you think it gives trans people a bad name, and almost as a tacit defense of Chris Chan. And I think the best thing to do in this scenario would probably just be to so what I did, I guess, is just an example. Is I just talked about like the history behind it. I went into pretty good detail about how the stalking and harassing of this person has created like the extremely toxic majority right-wing culture of like Kiwi farms and all the stalking forums and everything. And I also talked about how a lot of conservative content creators are using this. And unfortunately, whether we like it or not, conservatives use the lack of left-wing voices talking about how, yeah, Jessica Yaniv is bad, as sort of ammo against the trans community.
I just want to
Obviously,
say,
this is completely illogical, but it is used nonetheless
I
by the
just want to
right.
say, with the Jessica Yaniv stuff, it felt like there was actually something to talk about because a lot of what Jessica Yaniv did was a sort of weaponization of woke language to get away with sexually
Mm-hmm.
predatory behavior, you know? Oh, like literally the wax my balls or you're a bigot thing, like weaponizing the
Mm-hmm.
Canadian legal system, weaponizing sex positivity as an excuse to kind of like prey on children. In those instances, I felt like there was valid commentary from a left perspective because you could go like, wow, these are completely terrible misinterpretations of everything we care about. Like there felt like there was something to actually dig into here. But with like the Christian thing, like I looked at it for like 5 minutes the other day because some people got mad at me or whatever, and it's like, oh, it's just like another random crazy asshole, of which there are no doubt hundreds of thousands
Mm-hmm.
online, but this is the one that we're all concentrating on. You know, I
Well,
don't know what to add to that. It almost it feels like the best solution to this is just kind of disregard any engagement with it because it seems like absolutely nothing good, personally or politically, can come from this hyperfixation on this one crazy asshole, you know?
yeah, this is a pretty low stakes debate, but the problem that I have is that while Jessica Yaniv is a better example of somebody who is the like a trans person who is using woke language and rhetoric to try to harm people, which is, you know, a much more effective bit of ammo for the right to use against the left. I think the main problem is that Chris Chan is so culturally relevant right now. That shit trended on Twitter #1 all day. So many normies are now getting into it. Whenever I went to research Chris Chan because I knew like nothing prior to last night. Whenever I went to research this, I looked at the most recent comments, miles of new comments like who else is here because they found out about the whole fucking or raping her mom thing, and I was like, holy shit, there are so many people watching this stuff, and I could not find a single content creator covering this news that wasn't dead naming, misgendering, calling her delusional, which she is. However, the problem is that this contributes to the stone toss esque transphobic straw man of trans people.
You're
If
saying
there's
that even
anyone on this, oh
so
yeah,
you're
sorry,
saying
go.
like even if we have literally nothing to add meaningfully to the discourse, it's still worthwhile to cover it because it drives clicks and it means that people looking up this stuff will be brought to a lefty channel instead of a righty channel, which means that
That's a
invariably
big
their
part of it.
follow-up opinions are going to be, yeah, okay, I think that's a decent argument. Like even if you can, like even if you made two identical videos on Christian, I would rather it be on like I'd rather like the one on Big Joel's channel get trending than the one on like some right-leaning channel because that might encourage them to go and like look at other stuff from a lefty perspective or whatever. Yeah, I guess I can get that. I can't help but feel like a contemptuous disregard for people who take this seriously, though. I got a lot of
Me too.
dislikes on the video on my second channel, and a lot of these people are so defensive. The Chris Chan obsessed people, they act like they're like internet vigilantes, like they're like the Gohan fire warriors, where they like watch the mountain pass at all times to protect civilization against the orc horde. Like it's so pretentious for like e-stalking, you know? So
It is.
maybe my hatred of those people is like, I don't know, overwhelming my common judgment on this. I don't know.
Well, the people you're talking about, and we're both
Uh,
very familiar with the communities that have stemmed from the whole internet stalking of this random individual online who, if I had the opportunity and I could snap my fingers and make it stop, I would undo the entire thing that's been going on for 15 years because that culture, that community is absolute garbage and has plagued the internet long enough. But unfortunately, we can't really do that. You know, when you're a figure in the online
yeah.
space, especially a political figure, you kind of have to deal with the cards you're dealt. And unfortunately, we're now at a stage where I think for the next few months, there's going to be a very dominant right wing narrative of pointing to this person who is the textbook stereotype of what people like Stone Toss like to depict trans people as. And I guess I've been seeing so many, everything from like normie YouTubers like Optimus, who are like vaguely edgy, right leaning, to full on like Nazi figures who are absolutely using this as ammo. And while I don't think there's much we can add other than like, yeah, just use the correct pronouns or whatever, I do think there's utility to gain from not ignoring it, not ceding all of that drama, all those views, all that attention completely to the right.
Oh yeah, I
As
guess I
plain
don't
as all of it.
disagree with that. I still feel like the best take a person could possibly have on this is why the fuck are any of us doing any of this? I still feel like that's
Yeah.
probably the most salient take, but I guess if nobody's going to listen to that, you could probably
No
get
one
pulled
will,
over a
really.
little.
I mean, everybody, I think ContraPoints said this
The
best
thing
in the
is, like,
Fringe video. Everyone's got this morbid curiosity for shit like this.
sure. I mean,
Rightly so, but
I have morbid curiosity for stuff too, like Jerry Springer or whatever. Sometimes you just want to see like living wrecks of human beings, you know? But the Chris Chan thing has gone way, way, way beyond that. There,
absolutely.
like, it's obsessive now. And I'd feel the same way about like if there was a Jerry Springer episode with some crazy person on it, and then people dedicated the next 15 years of their life to tracking everything they did off show as part of like this giant portfolio they're building on the life and times of this one random, like, holy shit, like you have to be really deep in the subculture to listen to this and not think it's fucking crazy. But I mean, as long as people are paying attention to it anyway, yeah, I don't know. I
You'd
heard
think. Well, sorry, you finished that, but yeah.
no, I just want to say I heard the thing that happened. Apparently, like she like raped her dementia addled 80 something mom or something like that, or some
Yeah, like
super
11
fucked up
times,
shit like
yeah.
that. Yeah, so is she like
Yeah.
going to jail?
It seems that way. There's been a restraining order, and the mom's been taken to the hospital. That's all I really know so far. But there was another thing I wanted to bring up, was that we can also use this as the left, and this is what I mostly focused on in my video, as a way of just sort of bringing some attention to how shitty the people that have been doing this 15-year-long online stalking campaign are. One of the things I brought up, and this is the best example of this, is there was a individual who the story is that like one of the this is like the younger brother of one of the trolls that have been stalking Chris Chan for a very long time. One of them was a 13-year-old boy whose name was like Blue Shard or some shit like that, who catfished Chris Chan,
I think
telling her that she was like like a girl who was of age, and then convinced her because Chris Chan's pretty easy to convince to do
don't
things
they have like
apparently.
the brain age of like a 10-year-old or something? Like they're
That's
legitimately
how it
like
was
cognitively
described. And
deficient. Yeah.
the Kiwi Farms people dug up like medical reports, and yeah, that is how they've been described by doctors, and convinced them to break up this like clay and acrylic medallion that they made of Sonichu and shove it up their anus on camera.
Okay. Okay.
Horrible
So
shit like this that that's I think that's a really good thing that we as left-wing content creators can point out, like, look how fucked up the people that have been doing this are, and I think it's a really good like thing to have out there to be
so
bring that shit to
so
light.
the Kiwi farmers essentially groomed a child into being complicit in uh sexually harassing the Chris person.
That's the thing
Yeah,
they did, yeah.
yeah, okay, right. I think I vaguely remember Contra mentioning something like that. I'm sure there's been a million things like this. I don't know. It's in all likelihood the combined like bad things done on all the Chris Chan stalkers probably exponentially outweigh all the bad things that Chris has done over the course. You know, it's
Probably,
just
yeah.
I don't know. But they'll interpret that as a defense though. Like if you're like, hey, the stalking of Chris is really fucked up, then they'll be like, oh, so you just want her to get away with all the horrible things she's done? I see that in the comment section. They're like, they really do think they're like the wardens of this prison, you know, like they guard the gates, and that if they weren't there, like I don't know, Chris Chan would become president or something. I don't know what they
Well,
think is
you'll
gonna
never get
happen.
through to the psychopaths that are sitting on Kiwi farms all day and stalking this person. You'll never get through to those people. But I think if you tailor your rhetoric well enough and you're careful with how you say it, like for me, whenever I plan to do a particularly controversial segment, I think out what I plan to say it like the night beforehand while I'm in the shower or whatever. If you say it right, I think you can convince people who are just now stumbling across this. Because can you imagine how many people who saw Chris Chan did what in all caps trending on Twitter, #1 all day, that are now looking up videos on this? I would rather the first thing they see be like my video or your video talking about it, saying, hey, so this Chris Chan thing, maybe you're interested in it, maybe you want to watch a documentary on it, sure, maybe you're curious. Here's the thing though. let's talk about the people who are responsible for this 15 years of stalker information. It may sound like anyone with who thinks with some logic or some sense would see this and think it's insane, but evidently not, based on how many normies are now discovering this, you know?
Yeah, I suppose. As a general rule, if something's big enough that it gets trending on Twitter, then it's probably big enough to warrant at least some like passing acknowledgement. But now, I still don't know like what there is to really say about this because it feels like the crazies are going to interpret any nuance that isn't just like doggedly shitting on Chris with no thought or perspective whatsoever as being some kind of backhanded defense of her. But no, I guess I principally agree. Here's my new. Are you ready for my new take? That you've now forced me to have a take on this. Okay, are you
All right,
ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here's my new take. Chris Chan seems pretty fucked up and should probably be in jail or like an institution or something. And that's probably always going to be my take on this. And I don't know if that's ever going to change. And as more information comes out, it's probably just I'm just going to have to point at the sign, you know, and it's going to be that same take. But the stalking shit's pretty weird. We should probably should probably not do that. I don't think it's helping. It's probably making it worse.
Oh, absolutely. I'd say like 80% of the bad shit that Chris has done or that has happened to Chris is probably due to the fact that there is an online stalking cult that is at least thousands strong, 24/7, constantly with like binoculars observing everything that this person does. And I think that's something that and these people have done awful things that I do think should be exposed. I know Demon Mama did a segment. I haven't seen it yet, but I imagine it was very good. But also like YouTuber to YouTuber, this shit is fucking trending, dude. Like,
I know.
you know, like, come on, yeah, like it's definitely worth talking about for that alone. But also, like, from a completely principled perspective, just generally having more left-leaning voices talking about this massive thing is worth it. And I'm not saying that you should do it necessarily, because clearly it's not something that you want to do. But when I saw your take that you did put out, like I clicked on it like, okay, cool, I'm gonna hear Vaush's take on it, and then you said you didn't care, and it was like, damn, I feel like I got cock teased, you know?
Yeah, I look, my hope is just that some prominent conservative figure challenges me to a debate on this. They want to debate me on Chris Chan, you know? And I'll be like, okay, and then they'll show up and they'll be like, I think Chris Chan's bad. And I'll be like, yeah.
Me too.
And I'll
Yeah.
get 10,000 views per second on that video. It's going to be really good, you know?
Yeah, maybe. Let's just hope that whole saga is over, frankly. I hope this is the end of all of it. I know it won't be, but it would be
Well,
nice if it
hopefully she
was.
goes to jail. I mean, if she's something super bad, then like hopefully she goes to jail or at least gets like institutionalized in some way or another, right?
Yeah.
And that'd be the end of it, I hope.
There would be people having themselves institutionalized to be in there with her and then watching her so they could go like get out and then go back to the internet to report what happened. Like the people that are on this shit are obsessed beyond any recognition.
Yeah, they're going to be like chiseling holes in the walls of the prison to sneak in like Kraft mac and cheese singles to the prisoners so that they'll deliver info. They'll write on toilet paper and slip it out or something. It's going to be a whole prison break scenario just to keep updates on which nostril Chris Chan is breathing out of at any given point in time.
Yeah, it truly is deranged. It really is. But yeah, it's more or less all I wanted to say. I think that there's more to it than just it's not something we should be talking about because that was sort of the impression I got from the video. But I guess yeah.
No,
that's
you're
everything, then.
you're probably right. I get the argument. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I'm sorry for coming on with such an awkward topic too. It isn't exactly fun to talk about.
No, it's
by
fine.
any means. It's very depressing.
How often
And
do I
gross.
talk about things that aren't depressing, right? I mean, I don't know.
Pretty often, but it's
line.
it's usually gross and uplifting to some degree. But this is just depressing and gross. Not quite, not quite in that vein.
Don't worry, the next segment will be too, so we'll be keeping in line. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well,
and,
thank you for having me on.
Happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks for the host on my birthday, by the way. I did a very long Rust stream.
Yeah.
You should play Rust sometime. It'll make you very mad.
Yeah, I might. We'll have to see. Take care now.
Alrighty. Have a good one, okay?
Bye.
Later. That was fun. I don't know. I knew that he was going to like agree with my take principally. Like because my take is something very much in line with something that he would believe or say. Because it's correct, and Vaush is usually correct about stuff. He's a smart dude. But I I did get the impression from the video, and he mentioned that it got a lot of dislikes, a lot of hate comments. I think a lot of those hate comments probably came from people who came in thinking, yeah, we're going to get like an actual take on this. And then Vaush said he didn't care. And I feel like that comes off as kind of a, it felt like he was criticizing people who are just now, who are more likely to stumble across the video, who just heard about Chris Chan. Fuck, I wish I'd said this during the talk. Fuck, I wish I'd said this during the talk. The video felt more like he was going against the people, like he was railing against the people who had just discovered Chris Chan and were curious about her and were like looking for videos about it, like insulting the people who may stumble across the video rather than attacking those being transphobic about Chris Chan and using it against like trans people, as well as just pissing off the people and almost giving a pass to the people who are legitimately psychotically obsessed with Chris Chan. The people like the Blue Shank, whatever the kid's name was that did that shit with the Sonichu medallion. I don't know. It did feel pretty yeah. Yeah, be honest, and about being a trans woman or alienated at expectations about being male, and Kiwi Farms will find you. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah. Well, anyone who's like a public figure and remotely left-leaning will be stalked by people on Kiwi Farms, because it's like a haven for Nazis at this point. Not everyone there is a Nazi, I would guess, but fuck, you know, it's kind of a cesspool of that shit. All right, well, that was cool. Yeah, we'll upload that on the channel. We got it, boys. Yeah, we got that. We got the meme there. Yeah, we getting that one on the channel. I recorded that shit. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, ring the bell icon, donate, all those things. You all know what to do. Do all that down in the description. Comment, all that stuff, and thank you for watching.